People, we are so privileged today to have Heather Stewart join us. Heather, thank you so much for being prepared to come on and chat with my audience today. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm super happy to be here.
Oh, it's so awesome. Before we came on live, we were discussing time zones and we were discussing how to correlate. And Heather was saying good morning and I was saying good afternoon. And it just made me think of how flexible we've had to become in life. And people, I will get Heather to introduce herself, but I was fascinated about her journey from accountant to yoga teacher to massage therapist to introducing the Thriving Life method. Heather, please can you fill in the gaps and share some of your journey of what got you to where you are today?
Oh my goodness. How long have you got?
20 minutes on this podcast.
Okay,
And
I'll
longer.
make it the succinct version. So
What do
yes,
they call it? The Cliff Notes.
the Cliff Notes. Oh yes, the Cliff Notes version. So I did spend 15 years in the corporate finance world as an accountant. And it was interesting because I have one of those puzzle brains. So I was actually quite adept at figuring things out, but I did not feel good there at all. I felt restricted. I felt confined by the ways that those worlds have to work. And talking about being flexible and free flow, I'm a free flow kind of person. So when they say
accountancy,
and I chose accountancy, I know. Well, I like to solve puzzles. I guess that's what drew me to it. You know, I always joked with people that I could make spreadsheets a piece of art, and they thought I was crazy, but they were fun to create. So, but having that, you must come in at this time. We have meetings, this structure. And I didn't like the energy of a corporate environment. This ways of behaving that were required. And it was interesting. One of my last positions, I was a senior director, and I had an office that I never turned the lights on because I didn't like the fluorescent lighting. Luckily, I had a window. And the mailroom gentleman would walk by my office every day. I was down the hall for the mailroom. And he would come in and chat with me, and he would say, "You're the strangest accountant I ever met." Because I had a lava lamp and I had little tchotchkes on my desk. And so it's like people thought I was the HR department, even though I was the senior finance director. So at one point, I just realized that I didn't feel good there. I wasn't feeling like it was what I was supposed to be doing. So I don't recommend this for everyone. Me being the way that I do things, I quit my job. And it's interesting. I had a friend who went to lunch with me, and he went to lunch with me with the intention of taking me to the mental health facility.
Oh my goodness.
He thought I had lost my mind. He thought I'd gone completely crazy because I was quitting my job. I was also getting divorced at the time. And he just thought, she's gone crazy. I need to take her in for some mental health. And I thought, this is really what you think of me?
Wow.
Right? And he said, I had to look you in the eyes to make sure that you hadn't gone gaga. I said, I'm totally rational. I know what I'm doing. And after I quit my job, I went to traveling for a few months. I actually went to India. And interestingly, I had actually already started teaching yoga after work. I'd been teaching yoga for a while after work as a stress relief for me. And when I came back from India, I just started teaching yoga full time, started studying it as much as I could. I went back to school for 2 years to get a degree so I could do massage therapy. I was a personal trainer. So I went from the financial side full into the wellness side, just flipped the page over. And so I just started helping people. So in the corporate world, I didn't feel like I was helping anyone really, I felt like I was making the man who owned the majority of the company richer. And I thought one day, he's a really nice man, but he doesn't need any more money. He was the richest. I heard on a radio forecast that said that he was the richest man in Canada or something at one point.
Wow.
Yes. So I went to helping other people. So, but it was interesting. So I was helping people what I felt like for a long time. I did massage therapy for 14 years. I just retired recently from massage therapy, although I still teach yoga. I've been teaching yoga for 19 years and meditation. And I felt like the way that I was helping them was limited to that physical aspect. Which a lot of people have physical complaints, but sometimes the physical complaints come from something else. Because there's something else in their life that's not working, which I know that you totally get, right?
Yes.
Right.
And I stick my neck out and I say everything comes from that.
I know, but I didn't want to say that out loud.
Everybody is listening. Keep it a secret.
Don't tell anybody.
Are blocked energy.
Exactly. So while I was working as a massage therapist, I found myself coaching a lot of these health and wellness people. I didn't know it was coaching at the time. I thought I was just being helpful because I had that business background and I could see that they were struggling and that they couldn't pay their rent and they were stressed out. I'm like, well, that's because you're not running your business. You're running it like it's just, you're not taking it seriously as something that's going to earn you an income. So I started helping them. And then one day, one of the therapists that rented from me said to me, Heather, you need to teach this. And I said, oh my gosh, you're right. You need that person from the outside to tell you. So that's when I officially 5 years ago started charging and creating programs for my coaching business. And I originally started as a business coach because I just saw so much need for some of these people. But even when you're business coaching, again, business coaching, health coaching, it all came back to the person. So even when I was business coaching, I was more in general terms, life coaching. And so and then in 2021, I had a stroke. Yeah. Shocking. I was completely shocked. I thought the doctor was crazy. I was like, can I check your credentials?
Oh my goodness. That's blunt.
Right. Because I did a lot to take care of myself. I was super healthy. I did all the things to keep this body that's carrying me around healthy because I knew that I had a lot to do in this lifetime. But then at one point I said, okay, well, come on, Heather. All these, I was in a teaching hospitals. I saw 7 different neurology interns in the 4 days that I was there. And they all said the same thing. I'm like, okay, fine. I had 2 strokes. And at some point, because I think I was discussing this with you, like when we first chatted, I was stuck in the emergency room for 3 days.
Yes.
In a downtown busy Toronto hospital on Halloween. And it was during the time of COVID. No visitors could come to see me, and I couldn't see properly because my vision was affected. So I was on a 3-day silent retreat.
In the emergency room of a hospital. Describe the bed for us, please.
Oh, yes. It was a very hard cot. Now, it did go up and down.
Yes.
I could control it up and down, but it was so hard. I had no pillow because they couldn't find me a pillow. Luckily, a very lovely nurse brought me a blanket because it was freezing. I was freezing. And they did let my husband in the first night they admitted me to bring me some pajamas. But the emergency room was under renovation, so there was no washrooms with a sink that I could access. So I couldn't even brush my teeth.
Oh,
yeah. It had a toilet and it had hand sanitizer. I was like, okay, well, this is roughing it, man.
Yeah, and you couldn't see properly, so
I couldn't see
your way
properly.
around. Okay, we're just putting perspective in place here. It was a silent retreat with several drawbacks.
Yes, with some challenges. But I just, at one point, sometime in that first night, because I wasn't sleeping very well, I did have a headache probably from the stroke. I'd actually had a headache for 7 straight days. I just didn't know why,
Wow.
until the double vision came on. So I had a headache. I was trying to sleep. There was things going on in the emergency room because it was Halloween and people drink heavily and get themselves into trouble. And the bed was hard. I was trying to sleep. And then at some point, I just said, Heather, just stop struggling.
Mm-hmm.
Some voice said to me, just stop struggling. So the way I phrase it is, I surrendered to what was going on and but I didn't give up. That's kind of a key for me, I think, because my father-in-law had colon cancer and I tried and tried to help him, but he had given up.
Yeah.
And that frustrated me so much. And I realized that was me. That was like my energy going, you can't give up. So I let go of being angry at him a little while after that when I realized it was all me. But I decided that I wasn't going to give up. I was just going to visualize. They told me where the stroke was. They told me what was going on. They told me what was wrong. So I said, Heather, you're going to just surrender to what's going on. You're going to see what your lessons are here. There were so many lessons that came out of it. It was actually such a beautiful experience at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people, when I first tell them I've had a stroke, they say, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm like, no, it was the greatest thing ever. And in that time was when a lot of my new coaching practices were born, because I had all that quiet space. So that's when my podcast was born. My podcast is called Back to Me, because I want people to find their way to wellness before they find themselves in the hospital, right?
Yeah.
And even though sometimes you're doing all the things that you need to be doing, which I feel like I was doing, you find yourself in that situation, but it's what you do. It's almost, I call it like your insurance policy. You have everything in place so that when life does happen to you, it's okay.
Yeah.
So like the pieces, just to quickly flip over. So you mentioned the thriving life method. And the way I phrase it is, we work on the aspects of you so you can become the person you were meant to be. And become is that acronym. And the acronym is body. Yes, you need to take care of your body, your emotions. You need to take care of your emotional health and how you feel in your operating day to day. You need to take care of your connections and your community that support you, your occupation, your profession. I have a client who's retired. She calls it her beloved vocation, which I love that phrase. Your money, your financial health, and then your engagement, which is your spirit and your passion. And if you're taking care of all of those things, then sometimes when life does hit you, it's okay, because those things are there to support you. And it came to me because I was in the hospital, and like I said, most people escape into their phones. I couldn't see my phone. And a friend of mine found out. My husband called her and told her. So she contacted everyone she knew who knew me, and they were all sending me voice messages. And oh my gosh, I got overclamped. I was like, I didn't realize that I had so many people. Some people I hadn't seen in 10 years were messaging me and sending me, messages, and their kids who I've never met sending me messages saying, hey, Heather, I hope you get better. So that just made my heart felt like it was exploding. So pieces that we don't realize that we need, one of my core values I did recently was I am self-reliant. I'm the oldest of 4 children, but when you need the community, oh my gosh, it's so good to have. So when I work with people, it's finding out where in that circle of wellness is something that is keeping you from being your best, your happiest, feeling complete, and like things are working for you. And it's different for everyone, It is such a fabulous exploration to help people find that peace, and that just like, and they're so happy and they shine. right?
That is just amazing. Oh, wow. I'm so wrapped up with what you're saying. I forgot what I was going to ask you next. That was just so powerful. People, there's so much to unpack there. I hope you were taking notes. I've been frantically writing notes there. You'll hear it on the recording. That is so important, Heather, in my work as well. That back to me, going within ourselves. When you came out of the situation, well, the physical hospital situation, what was your first step?
Oh my goodness. So while I was in the hospital, I had to cancel all of my appointments because I had my massage business. And it's so funny. I canceled my appointments with I'm sorry to cancel your appointment. I'm in the hospital. And all of my clients were messaging me back going, Heather, you don't even have to message me. It's okay. Just tell me when you're ready. Tell me how you are. Tell me everything's okay. And so my first step was me, which is probably why my podcast became called Back to Me, because I really had to make sure that I physically didn't push myself back into something because I felt like I had to. You know,
Yes.
sometimes when people, something happens to them, they want to ignore it. They want to push themselves back, but I'm fine. And it's almost like they're in denial. And they're not they're not giving themselves that grace of recovery time, because brain injuries are so strange. They're so strange. And I've injured myself a lot physically just because of my lifestyle. And I knew how to heal all of those things. But the brain, I didn't, it was a new territory. And people can't see it. You can't see stitches or anything. So I had to be really clear in my communication and in my boundaries, because I needed to sleep a lot.
Yes.
Which nobody warned me that I was going to have to sleep a lot. The doctors were all worried that I was going to do yoga. I was like, listen, the style of yoga that I do is not going to cause me any problems. You know, I'm not going to hurt myself. But what I didn't realize was how much I was going to need to sleep.
Yes.
And some of the accommodations I had to do, because I still needed a little bit to get onto my computer, but I couldn't see properly. I actually my husband had to help me set it up so I could put my computer onto our television, big television, and sit 6 feet away from it, because
Wow.
that's how far I could focus. I couldn't wear glasses. If I wore glasses, I would get quite nauseous.
Yes.
So, and I could work for about 20 minutes and then I'd had to go and sleep. And because I also teach Tai Chi, it's very interesting. If you go back, I do live streams every Wednesday, 9 a.m. in the morning, which I don't think you'll ever go to because that would be your not good time of night. But you can see the progression, because I took some time off and then I came back, and you can see me starting to figure out physically how my body is going to respond. So I was very kind to myself in keeping myself moving, because I know the body will, like Tai Chi, part of Tai Chi was keeping the body moving in a gentle way so that it can heal itself, because the body knows how to heal itself, but you need to give it that time and space. So really at the beginning, it was being very clear on what I could do, being okay that right now there's some things I can't do, and then exploring when I can add things back in. So sometimes when I added something in, I thought, I'll just try this. It would knock me back a little bit. I'm like, okay, not ready for that yet, but not beating myself up about it, you know, recognizing that this is okay. And my partner is the most outstanding partner on the planet. Oh my God, he is such an angel, because we, and our relationship has always been this way, which is, I think relationships, setting them up right from the start is important. It's like, we're allowed to call each other. Can I swear?
You may go ahead.
We can call each other on our bullshit.
But that's
We've
not
given
swearing.
some podcasts it is.
Okay. Well, not on mine.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. So we've given each other permission that we're allowed to say, can I give you some feedback on that?
Love
And
that.
we're allowed, Yeah, we're allowed to say when something's bothering us and the other person's not going to take it personally. We're allowed to ask for what we need. The other person's not going to, you know, have a moment of, you don't love me. So we established that early. So I was just really clear with him. I need this and I need this and I need this. And you're the best husband on the whole planet, because he really just wanted to help me recover and get better. And he didn't take anything personally. So
Mm.
as I started to recover, then you discover the layers of the things that still aren't working. So you find ways to work with those. And because I had all the other pieces in place, like my financials were secure. I knew what I wanted to do. Actually, the stroke gave me more clarity on what I wanted to do. My community was awesome. I felt happy. I just needed to get my body back into shape. So that's where I put all my focus, because you can only focus on one thing at a time. My multitasking friends, it's not real.
Not real. And it's actually very damaging to our bodies.
Yeah. So that was my focus. All of my focus at the beginning went back into, how do I make my body as best as it can be? I used a lot of meditation. I used a lot of visualization. I sent a lot of light. You and I discussed, I had a dissection of my carotid artery. I visualized, my friend who knits a lot, I visualized knitting my dissection back together and clearing out all the blockages. So now with the MRI, my neurologist said, you can't even really tell that it was there. It's totally gone.
Beautiful. So you really believe in the power of visualization,
Oh my
working with your
goodness.
body and allowing that release of the blocked energy.
And even when I was doing massage, people would say, oh, it's my stupid leg. I'm like, no, it is not. Send love to your leg. It's working really hard for you. So I would try to have them see a different way of treating all of their body parts. They're not this brain, they treat their body like it's, a racehorse, and racehorses aren't treated well. I used to do equine massage. Racehorses are not necessarily treated all that well. They're just seen as a commodity. I'm like, no, love your body, because it's here to support you and it has its own intelligence, and work with it. Don't fight with it. Of course, that's one of the things of yoga too. So
Go with the flow. Yes.
yeah.
What is the one? No, that's a difficult question. We won't go down that pathway. If you could share with other stroke victims something that could benefit them, I mean, you've given them a whole plateful, but if you could distill it into the essence of what they get to do. Sleep is definitely part of it, but
Sleep.
more from a mindset perspective, what kept you going?
So I've had a meditation practice I'd say it was my meditation practice, because, and I have meditated for longer than I've taught yoga, probably 25 years I've meditated. And it's not about doing it right, because there's no right. People have this, and it's media, mainstream media. I understand, you think, oh, I have to silence my thoughts. That's impossible. As long as you're alive, they're not going to stop. But and don't call it meditation if you don't like that. Use sitting quietly and just connect. If you haven't done it before, connect with your physical body. Ask it questions. Pay attention to it. Don't judge it. It knows what it's doing. So partly because of my yoga practice and partly because of my meditation practice, my visualization and my sitting with my body for all that time of my recovery were very specific, because I understood the anatomy and I understood what I wanted to fix. The stroke was in the right side posterior of my brain, and I even visualized that, just light and energy going to it. So one of the key things in recovery, I think, besides sleep, is just sitting. If you've never sat with your body before, maybe get a meditation teacher, because when things happen, you might get a little freaked out. But getting to know it and getting to know that it's healthy, and giving it love, right?
Yes.
So I just always sent it love and thankfulness. Thank you for carrying around my soul for me. Thank you for carrying around my brain for me. Thank you for working so hard for me. Thank you for being so patient with me. as I learn. And because it's working very hard, it has its intelligence and it is carrying around your soul. And there's a coach that I listen to whose brother-in-law is a shaman, and his shaman phrases it like, your body is like, you've come to the planet, it's your rental car, you drive it around. And at the end of your time on this particular go around, you take your rental car back and you go back home. So I always think I want to take care of my rental car while I'm here so that I'll get an upgrade when I come back.
Yes. People forget that, eh?
Yes.
People forget that part. That is so beautiful, Heather. I love your analogies. What was your primary why with your B.E.C.O.M.E program for your clients?
So I have a very strange talent. Not strange, interesting, sometimes unbelievable, that I can see where people are stuck and where they're struggling. And maybe it comes from being the oldest of 4 children and being a caregiver for quite a few years of my young life. And I have, even in meetings in the corporate office, I could see where people were not connecting. And I just want, my whole thing is of a problem solver, right? The puzzle solver. I can see what's wrong. I want to help you solve your puzzle so that you can be awesome. Because the more people can see where they're struggling, the more that they can feel okay and feel safe and feel peaceful and feel happy, that ripples out. So when we look at the media, we look at the news. I don't read the news much, but every time I see it, there's strife and there's tension and there's discord. And I think if those people who are causing all this discord could understand and be happy, then it would dissipate, right? I'm a weird, yes, I would love world peace.
I don't think that's weird. I really feel it's a very admirable aspect of life. The challenge is some people cannot find peace within themselves, and therefore it reflects in the world around them. I don't know if you've experienced that.
Absolutely.
From
And that's,
within.
I think, yeah, I think that's, you've just succinctly said what I was taking to a lot of words to say was, if they could find that peace and happiness, then it ripples out around them, because you can see the people who are unhappy, who's around them. That's part of the whole community. Like, look at who's around you. If the
Yes.
people who are around you are negative, what does that say? Not
Yeah.
judging you, but can you shift that? Like,
So,
intentionally.
please expand on that, shifting it intentionally, because that is something people miss.
Yes. So there's things that have to happen for you to be intentional about something. First, you have to be aware.
Yes.
That's the very first step. So when you become aware of something going on within you or around you, and you can see it, first of all, you have to own that it's a reflection of you, which a lot of people don't want to see or think about. The same coach with the rental car is you are the sole creator of your life. Own it, which is the second piece. So once you're aware of it, you decide to do something about it. So, I see lots of people in my environment who bring me down and make me feel bad. I'm going to change that. But then the step that people miss is doing it, which is the intention. So you can decide to do something and then never take an action. So when you decide to do something, decide what it is you want, which is your intention. So I decided I wanted a healthy body and brain. So I started taking action. If you decide you want a healthy relationships, okay, then you have to visualize what a healthy relationship is in your terms. What's that going to look like? And then intentionally pay attention to yourself. Start acting that way yourself in all of your interactions. And by you acting the way that you want those relationships to be, the toxic ones will just fall away, because they will be pushed the energy of how you want to be will start to surround you. And the other relationships will just kind of they will either shift, which is, I don't know how often that happens. People aren't always ready to change, but it's like the energy is like a magnet, to pushing out. So they will be pushed out of your energy field, and other more positive people will be pulled in.
They're unable to stay because the vibrations don't match.
Yes.
And they are unavailable to grow. They are unavailable to stay. This is how I've seen it.
That's how I got my second divorce.
Oh
No, they were all good.
no.
Well, they were all good for me because yes, I'm on my third partner, but I've been divorced twice, and both times it was because I shifted, and I didn't realize I was doing it intentionally at the time. I shifted the way I wanted to be in the world, and that pushed them out. And I actually ended both relationships because I realized we don't need to be staying here in this relationship because you don't fit in this anymore.
Yes.
So neither of them took it very well, but I invited them to shift their energy along with me, and they didn't want to. So what are you going to do?
I have seen that in many relationships where I'm just very blessed that each time I've shifted, my husband I would like to stay. What do I have to do? Or when he shifts, I say, okay, I take a look at it and what can I do? I actually did a Facebook Live or reel. I did somewhere on social media. Thing of what happens when you shift your energy, one of those things. What happens when you choose to change? Things around you are going to change as things inside you change. And many people become very frightened, because I just had a client phone me saying that her husband and her son were very unhappy with certain decisions she'd made. And I said, but that's quite normal. And that is very normal, because you're inviting them along on the journey, and they are declining the invitation. And that is all part of it. So that's why I so resonated when you told me about your B.E.C.O.M.E program, because when we become, who around us is choosing to become with us, and who choosing to stay behind because they're unable to be what it takes to become.
They just might not be ready in their journey, right?
Yes.
We're here for some lessons. We're here for our experiences. And I've done a lot of work recently on just not making people go on a journey that part of coaching is I can't make people go on the journey I see for them. I just try to help them see perhaps their potential journey they could go on. And then you can't force them through the door. They have to decide.
It's that old adage, you can take a horse to water with, and unless you salt their oats, they ain't going to drink nothing, Mom. Heather, you have blessed our audience with a wonderful gift. Would you like to share? And it will be in the show notes, people. Would you like to share what it is?
What's what?
The meditation, the gift that you gifted them.
Oh, the gift. Yes, sorry. For a moment there, I was like, what? I can't remember. No, yes. So I have a gift for the audience. Yes. And it is, I recorded a deep guided meditation relaxation, because I know some people struggle with being quiet. So I think it's 20, I can't remember, it's 24 or 29 minutes, and you don't have to do anything. In fact, you just lay back and relax and you listen. And it connects you with your body because it's a form of yoga nidra. So it takes you through your body and deep, deep relaxation so that you can heal. And that is my gift for everyone out there.
And we are so, so appreciative of it. It's beautiful. Heather, thank you very much for coming on the show. If you could leave our audience just with one more pearl of wisdom, I would really appreciate it.
I have 2 rules in life because I teach yoga and Tai Chi, and this is my rules in class, but I realized that it also is a rule for life. only 2 rules. It's easy to remember. The first rule, you must breathe.
Love
And
it.
the second rule, don't cause yourself any pain.
Oh.
So all through life, breathe. And if you're causing yourself pain, stop it, darn it, and do something different. Adjust, adapt, shift. You know, you don't have to do that thing that's causing you pain.
I love that. I looked at the word, we could go on for hours. This is so terrible that we go to the end. But I looked at the word fear. Feel it, experience it, allow it, and release it. And that would apply to pain as well.
Yes.
Just don't
Yes.
feel it. Don't let it
Well,
stick around.
I mean, sometimes you're going to have some that's unavoidable, but my adage is always, you know, why cause it to yourself if there's other things that could cause it to you? Don't add on to the pile.
Yes, absolutely. Heather, again, thank you so much. And people, I look forward to seeing you next week. Remember to reach out to Heather. Remember to download her podcast and come and find us on social media and let us know what you experienced. Heather, thank you so, so much.
Thank you, my friend.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye.